Hey guys, I'm JP and I'm documenting my process of trying to balance my full life, working a 9 to 5, being a dad of a very energetic 3-year-old, and trying to complete a nonfiction book in 1 month. So I'm doing this for NaNoWriMo, and I'm going to start it off with an implementation intention. So basically, when my alarm goes off tomorrow morning, I will get up and I will write for 30 minutes before I do anything else, because I'm the type of person that follows through on my words. So that's pretty much kind of like where I'm at right now, is making sure that I'm getting myself mentally prepped, trying to figure out which type of habits I have to put in place to be able to do this successfully. But really, if you think about it and wonder like where all of this came from, it's that I just came off of a 3-month fitness competition with a friend of mine, and it's almost like the minute you win something and you get that high of like winning a challenge, then you almost want to get into something else immediately after and keep that feeling going. So what happened was, we had this very specific competition about who was going to lose the most amount of body fat, not in percentages, but I mean, I'm talking underwater, getting weighed in a like a body displacement tank, and getting your total like fat mass, your total body mass, your total lean mass, and we basically did a competition on our total fat mass. And so really, you take a look at that, and you had to figure out what are you going to do to make sure that you're losing, not just losing weight, because that wasn't the competition. So it wasn't, you could lose all the weight you want, but if you didn't lose the same amount of fat mass, so if you dropped all your water weight and your muscle mass and you didn't lose any fat mass, you weren't going to win the competition. But coming off of that competition is just seeing how much prepping and putting the attention to detail like really helped me out. So for that, I mean, it had to be a lot of like meal prepping, which I really didn't do. And I figured out at some point that it came down to a few key things. And so weight loss, I think weight loss can be done in a lot of ways, but fat loss specifically, that takes a little bit more detail, like a little bit more attention to detail, where it's like I had to track the total amount of calories and make sure it was under the caloric deficit, but I had to make sure that I kept my protein up, so I wasn't losing muscle mass at the same time. But what does that have to do with this? Well, I think it's just coming off of the fact that I was able to win that competition, that contest, that challenge, whatever you want to call it. I'm very much in a space where I feel like, I can go for something else and I can win something else if I more or less apply myself to it. So in this case, what I'm going to do is now I'm doing NaNoWriMo. I think a lot of you guys are aware of what NaNoWriMo is, but NaNoWriMo is Novel Writers Month. So normally a lot of people take the time to write novels. I'm going to take the time to do a nonfiction and have a working title, Coding Your Life. I'm not sure if it's compelling enough. I don't know if it's going to be coding your life ultimately or coding your outcome. But right now, since I'm kind of in the space of NaNoWriMo Prep, I'm trying to find my, more or less trying to find my headspace as far as like prepping, because I think I do need to figure out what the high level of the story is going to be. Now, if you're familiar with NaNoWriMo at all, one of the things that there's something they call pantsing. And pantsing is basically when you are flying by the seat of your pants because you don't have an outline. And to write a novel, usually people come up with their story arcs and they write their plots and they write their movements and they do character development and things like that. But I tend to just do a 1-page outline, and after I do the 1-page outline, I figure out what's the ending gonna be, what's the beginning gonna be, and then after that, I'm done. So that's what I'm gonna do right after this video. The thing with this is kind of like I'm gonna try to be here every day, telling you guys how it's going. I think one of the things is, when you have a long day at work and then you come in, like today's Halloween, so it's October 31st, it's Halloween, so it was rainy, so luckily we didn't have to deal with trick-or-treaters or anything like that, but we were expecting them, which means I couldn't get started in this till, at this point, it's probably like 9 o'clock at night right now. So looking at that and trying to see how I'm going to now probably spend the next hour or so figuring out what my outline is going to be. And then at the end of that, I'll, write my implementation intention down. And that will set my mind for what I'm going to do tomorrow, because, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, the way I feel about how people approach habits and things like that, I don't know, to me, it seems like a lot of people don't think about how much the habit has to do with winning this. Because if you think about it, writing a book is nothing more than getting up, sitting at the typewriter or laptop, typewriter, like it's the 1950s, but sitting at the laptop and basically just making sure that you get the words out of you. I mean, even if you were just winging it with a good editor and just showing up every day to write something, if you know what you want to say, then you'll have a book. Might not be a good book. It might not be it might not be very interesting. It might be horrible, but you will come up with a book. And so that's kind of like, I'm looking at it as most of my focus for this has been to try my best to mentally commit myself and prep myself and think about my reasons why I am going to do this. Because normally I think there are a few ways to set your mind to do something. I think for one, you got, being like, yeah, I'm going to do it, but that does not necessarily stick. Another way to do it that's worked for me is to really like sit down and do a deep dive of like the pains that I could get, right? Like, how am I going to hate this if I don't actually do this? Like, what is that going to say about me, right? I'm the type of person that I do get the things I want to do done. And the thing is, like, I can be the hardest working person in the room. I mean, I know how to relax, but I can definitely be the hardest working person in the room. So if, it's a matter of showing up every day to write this, then I will show up every day to write this, because that's the challenge that I set up for. And, if I come up with a few things to help trigger me and a few things to commit me to the things that I need to do to succeed, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out all the tools that I can think of in my productivity tool belt to kind of like get that done. Because I mean, if you think about the title of the book itself, I mean, coding your life is more or less a this idea that you can make your life happen in a very systematic fashion. Like, you can take a systems thinking approach to actually like making your life happen. Now that is I don't know if it's the worst title, but it's not the best title. I don't think that's really all that compelling yet, but I'm gonna come up with something. I'm sure something will hit me. I got a friend that said it's probably gonna come and hit me in the book, where it's like when as I'm writing the book, the title will more or less reveal itself to me. One thing I have found is that when you are sitting down and writing a large amount of words, then the words tend to kind of bring out something that you didn't think of or you didn't plan. This is why I like pantsing it when I'm doing NaNoWriMo, because the story kind of like takes hold and leads you to places that you really didn't think about. So you need a loose outline to get you the direction, but I don't think I need anything more than that. So this is where I'm at. So I'm NaNoWriMo prepping and really, setting out to write a book, which I plan to publish in December. I don't know if I want to make that a public declaration necessarily, but you know what? It's out there. I think I can do this. I know I can do this. And for anybody else that is out there doing NaNoWriMo, I think you need to just know that the scary part is not that you might fall off and disappoint yourself. And the scary part is not that it's not possible to write a novel. I think the scariest part is just that you don't know what your story is going to reveal. So if you just keep showing up and letting that story reveal itself to you, then you'll end up in some place that it's good. And if life does happen and you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. You get right back on it and you keep going. You can recover from a day. You can recover from a week. You know, I think I've actually had a friend that took a couple weeks and didn't write very much, but you know what? By the end of it, she still finished. She had to push like crazy to finish, but she still finished. So missing a day is not anything. And I think actually my 10 minutes is up. Again, my name is JP, and I'm documenting my process of balancing all the projects that I have going on with work and trying to finish a nonfiction book in 1 month for NaNoWriMo. Thanks for tuning in.